Welcome to the Thriving Christian Artist, the podcast where we hope you connect with God to bust through the roadblocks that have held you back for years, create the work you love, and really live the life you know God created you to live as an artist in His kingdom. I'm Matt Thomas, your host. Let's get started. Well, hey, everybody. I'm so glad that you're with me on the podcast today. I've got my brand new friend, Ruth Truttmann from Switzerland, all the way from Switzerland. Ruth, I'm so glad that you're here with me today. Thanks so much for being on the podcast.
It's a pleasure. Thank you.
Absolutely. I started hearing your name a few years ago from a friend of mine, Myra Panko, who, of course, you know, in Duisburg. And she was like, oh my gosh, you have got to meet Ruth. She's so awesome and all of this. And God's doing so much in your life. Tell us a little bit about your background and what you do creatively first before we get into all the other stuff that God's doing all over Europe. So,
well, I'm a mother of four, married more than 20 years. So born in a very creative family, but non-professionals. And as a preteen, I had a key moment of vision of my life when I read an interview with Rick Barry. And he explained how he's doing art or how he creates and people get touched by it. And it hit me. Wow. And it was like, wow, that's what I want to do. I want to create and paint and show the people art and the love of God. So this turned out that it was like a seed in my heart. But it took a while till I noticed or to live out. And I was looking for an education that combines the spirituality and the art together, and I couldn't find anyone. So I decided to study theology, and I prayed that the Holy Spirit will become my art master and teach me how to create and being creative in the way He thinks. So there was a moment that my husband came to me and gave me a flyer of a prophetic arts workshop in 2010. And I met Marion de Jong there, and she did this incredible workshop. And I was just like, oh my gosh, that's it. I mean, not the workshop by itself, but this thing between Holy Spirit and art coming together. So I started to invite Marion de Jong, and there was another moment that the Holy Spirit spoke very clearly to my heart. He said, Ruth, start to spend time together with me in a creative way. So just paint, draw, pray, paint prayers or pray paintings, whatever, because you will need it for the season that will come.
Wow.
And I took him serious and started doing creative quiet time. But I still was totally overwhelmed when our church started to embrace art and I would say God's love language. They embraced becoming creative and also to express the spiritual lifestyle in a creative way. So it was still overwhelming for me.
Talk a little, you mentioned just before, you said that it was like a seed that was planted in your heart. And I think a lot of people, not just artists, but a lot of us can miss this idea that when God gives you something, when He gives you an investment, in your life, when He plants an idea inside of you, He plants it as a seed, and that thing has to then be nurtured and then come forth. And it sounds like you've been really intentional about developing that seed and allowing it to grow in your life. Can you talk a little bit about some of the things that you've done on purpose, to really cultivate what God's doing inside your life?
I guess it's the way I love to explore things, especially new creative projects. So I took almost every chance to express somehow the message to people. So one day my sister was in a project and I had this idea of a stage painting, a big stage painting of Jesus coming back on his white horse. So I asked her, what if I would paint it? Do you need a stage, how do you say, painting or background
Yeah, sure.
for this conference? And she said, oh, that would be awesome. Let's check it out with the team. So they allowed me to do it. So something in my heart was just like so excited and curious, and always this question, what if I will do it? What if it happens that people get touched? What if Jesus can use this to show his love to others?
That's so good, because I think so many artists, because of maybe woundedness in their life or fear or whatever, they approach their creativity from the other side. Oh, God could never use me. God would never, I'm not good enough. I can't do this. But it sounds like you've always been able maybe to approach it from a position of faith that says, yeah, what if God could use this? What if God could use me? What if God touched somebody through my art? And I think that's huge.
Yeah, I think I never doubt that I'm creative and that I'm gifted somehow. I had not a lot, but specific moments with my teacher or my parents, and they encouraged me. So it was in my heart. I knew that I'm creative and I'm gifted somehow.
Right.
But I also knew that I have to develop it. It was not the level I wanted to be or to express the technical level yet. So
do you see that? I know I see that a lot. I've seen it in myself, but I've also seen it in a lot of the artists that I have the privilege to work with in my classes or mentoring program. This idea that, well, God gave me the inspiration, so whatever comes out has to be the result, of God's movement inside of me. And they don't give any thought to developing excellence, developing their skills. And I teach this thing called being filled and skilled, which is essentially we have to be filled with the Holy Spirit and moving with his voice. And at the same time, as we develop our skill and our excellence, we enlarge our capacity to flow with him. Talk a little bit about that for you, because again, it seems like you've not ever used your relationship with the Lord as an excuse to say, oh, I don't have to be good. I don't have to practice, but that it's fueled you. It's encouraged you to go forward and say, I want to be excellent. I want to increase my skills so that I bring glory to the Lord in what I'm doing.
It's both ways are very important that they go together.
Yes.
So I love to take risk because always after I am taking risk, the Lord shows up and gives this confirmation that the thought, the impression was him. And then I get so freaked out and excited. And that's such an amazing moment. But the moment before, it's always like dying.
Yeah.
Because in my mind, there is an excellent picture of this and this, and I want to paint it or sculpt it. And sometimes it happens that it looks awesome. But most of time, I see that there is a big difference between my mind, my picture in my mind, and the thing I created.
Right.
And then to find peace about it and say, I gave my best and he called me to do it and I gave my best, and it's up to him that he can use it.
That's right.
And I'm really looking forward to find my peace again. So I gave my very best, and I know I'm developing my skills as well. So you should see my first paintings. They are so they are good because it represents the first steps of my journey, and that's why I celebrate it.
That's good.
And it humbles me at the other side. One specific painting, one of my first ever prophetic paintings, is finally is hanging at the courtyard of our city. And it's not a good painting, but it found his way because I gave it to a present to a friend and said, yeah, you can have it. And it touches you, that's amazing. And she asked me after 3 years, am I allowed to give it to my chief, to my boss? I said, yes, of course, you can do whatever you want to do with this. And then she texted me and said, Ruth, my boss is the judge in this area, in this city, and now your painting is hanging at the wall at his office, at her office. I was just like, oh my gosh. I was like, that's a dream coming true.
Yeah.
And yeah, the Lord spoke to me. You took the risk, and I honor you because you took the risk, even if it's not a good painting. So it keeps me quite humble in a healthy, good way.
Yes.
To see my first steps in it and to celebrate it, and knowing that, you have to do the first steps. You can't go to the goal at the end without the first steps before. So I celebrate all my steps I'm doing.
That's a good word. I know somebody needs to hear that today. Even for me, I've been a sculptor for 25 years, making sculpture for huge mountain homes. And I love that. I've developed a level of mastery and recognition in that in the marketplace. And yet this year, after my mom died in September, I started feeling this being drawn to painting. And I'm like, I don't paint. And the Lord's like, oh yeah, you do. But I don't do color. Oh yeah, you do. And so here we go. And right before this interview, in fact, I've got a new panel out there I'm painting, but it's celebrating the first steps. And it's that kingdom principle, I think, of when you're faithful with little, then God's going to make you ruler over much. It's be fruitful first and then multiply. And that's one of the things I love hearing a little bit more about your story, Ruth, because the way I heard about you was as somebody leading now a conference for artists all over Europe. And people may see, oh, she's just started this conference, up out of nowhere. And but there's a background, there's a history with you.
Well, hey, there's Matt. And one of the things that I found over the years in working with artists is that real lasting change in our life happens best in the context of supportive Christian community. And that's why I wanted to take this opportunity just to take a second and invite you to be a part of my online community called the Thriving Christian Artists Facebook group. Listen, this group is absolutely free, and over the years it's actually grown to thousands and thousands of artists in just about every creative medium from countries all over the world. The cool thing is that it's become a real place of encouragement and life for artists, just like you and me, who want to share their work, share their life, connect with other artists, and really pursue everything God has for us as artists in His kingdom. Now, listen, to join, all you have to do is just click the link in the show notes here and answer a couple of questions just to let us know that you're a real person, and bam, you're in, okay? So, listen, I can't wait to connect with you inside of my Thriving Christian Artists Facebook group. Do it now, and we'll see you there very soon. All right, bye.
Talk a little bit about how you began to recognize that God was raising you up to raise other artists up.
Well, I always love to develop people since I'm a teenager. So I spend a lot of my time in the youth and in the Scouts group, Christian Scouts group, and I took every chance to serve people. I was a worship leader more than 10 years, and it trained me to be very sensitive to the Holy Spirit and to also to lead a whole group of people through a spiritual process. So what I see is that all the things are coming together now. Even my profession actually now is I have a job, 30% at our church, paid to develop the prophetic and the art. So this is a dream coming true. I never dreamed of being paid for this, or that these two things can come together.
Right.
It was a yearning in my heart, but there was no picture in my mind about it. So what I see is this process, my own process of becoming a healthy identity, who I am and who the Father is.
Yeah.
So I really love to share whatever I learn and whatever what kind of revelation I get, I love to share. So actually I have a teacher heart, so it's very natural for me what I learned through art and through the Holy Spirit about art. I love to share with other people, so it doesn't matter if they're Christian or non-Christian. And it's kind of how should I say, a good competition for myself, or a love to find the language of people.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
art is an awesome way to use as a language to reach people and to tell them how awesome they are and what they can reach in their life. Or
That's so good. Because I don't know if, I mean, I'm sure you've seen this. Creativity is almost like a secret passageway that God uses inside of our heart to get to our heart, to unlock things inside of us where maybe just words or songs or sermons or things like that would never do that. The creative process, just like you're saying, is something that God uses to unlock and also to reveal himself through us. So talk a little bit about the conference, because same thing. I've got a passion for raising up people. We started our Gathering of Artisans conference back in 2010. We've been doing that. I think we've done 14 now, both here in America and in Germany and Scotland and all over the place. It's so awesome to see people, creatives, get together and learn.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And encourage. Talk a little bit about Visual Voice, and because I know that's coming up this spring, early summer in Switzerland.
Yeah, it's actually it's the I'm looking for my main emphasis is to reach the creative people. They are professionals, non-professional, doesn't matter, and to help them or lead them into a deep relationship with the Holy Spirit. So that's the main direction of the conference, and it's about about demonstrating, and creative thinkers from all over Europe will meet together, and we inspire each other, we train each other, we love each other, and it's more than just having a good time. It's also to develop and demonstrate how God can use or wants to use artists. So we're really looking forward and pursue it to how to heal people through a painting. So ask the questions you have. Don't be afraid to have these questions. Can God use my painting to heal sick people?
Yeah.
Can he use my sculpting that people meet Jesus and invite him into their heart? So these are good questions, and we really want to demonstrate in all kind of different arts how does it work.
Right.
But how God shows up and shows his love and collaborate together with the artists. So it's more than a technique conference. It's really about coming home and finding a family, and that spirit and technique is coming together.
Yeah, that's so good.
It's the third time we are doing this, and it's always in my heart that there must be more people to come, right? It's not about the numbers, but I know there are so many more. They have to know that this conference is held in end of May, and we have so many testimonies afterward, after every conference. Like the very moment I entered the building, I got hit by the love of God so deeply. Or I found my family. We even have a US girl. She's coming every conference from LA. I asked her, you have things like this in the US? She said, yeah, but I found my creative family in Europe, so I want to see my friends again. So it's it's going to be exciting.
That's so good. I remember the first, we did a Gathering of Artisans in Scotland 3 years in a row. And we had people that came from America over to Scotland. And I'm like, we do this every year in North Carolina. They're like, yeah, but this is so much better, in Scotland. So that's really great. Well, and I think no matter what country or whatever, like you said, it's coming home. It's finding your tribe. And in 2009, God called me to raise up an army of artists. And I remember when I was in that season of really envisioning what that looked like, the Lord showed me these wells, like a deep well, water well, but it was fire coming out, and they were all over the world. And I felt like he was saying that these were not only communities of revival, but also communities where artists would be able to come together, be cared for, be loved, like these tribes, these family reunions coming together. And that's happening all over the world. And Ruth, you're right at the forefront of what God's doing there in Europe. And I just want to say, for all of us that are artists, thank you for responding to the call and doing the thing that God's put on your life, because it's making a huge difference. And we'll never know the fruit, all of us, of the things that we're doing here. But thank you so much for all you're doing. Tell folks where they can connect with you if they're in Europe, because I know we have a ton of people that listen on YouTube and on the podcast that may want to attend the conference this year. So how do they get in touch with you?
So the best thing, go to the website. We are on Facebook and Instagram. It's visual-voice.ch for Switzerland.
Awesome.
So Facebook, Instagram, follow and come. Yeah, you're invited.
Absolutely.
We'd love to see you all there.
Absolutely. And we'll put the link to that in the show notes here in the podcast and on YouTube. And also, it looked like my friend Ray Hughes is going to be there. I love Ray. He's been on our board of our ministry for years and years.
Wow.
And such a father to so many.
I've never met him before.
Oh, you're going to love it.
No. It's a surprise box for me, but it will be a good one.
Well, you know, now I'll give you a secret. Ray likes Butterfinger candy bars. He loves he loves candy bars. So, well, Ruth, thank you for being on today, and for everybody that's in Europe or even not in Europe. I know you've been inspired today by Ruth's story. Check her website out. Check the Facebook out, her Facebook page, and check out what's going on Visual Voice. So, Ruth, thanks again for being with me today.
Thank you very much, Matt.
Hey, thanks so much for spending a few minutes with me today on the podcast. Listen, I hope it's been a huge encouragement to you on your journey as an artist. Hey, also, before you leave, make sure to hit the subscribe button so you don't miss any of the other episodes of the Thriving Christian Artist podcast. And also, be sure to connect with me on Facebook, Instagram, or at my website, which is matttommymentoring.com. Until next time, remember, you were created to thrive. Bye-bye.